Ever had a manager who made you feel like you are a kid because they micromanaged you, told you every little detail, what to do, how to do? It's pretty annoying, isn't it? It's even more annoying if you are actually in a very senior leadership role and your boss, the COO, treats you like that. That's exactly what happened with Kevin. Kevin was the COO of a major French bank in Hong Kong. And I still remember when I met him the very first time. I came to his office in a very high floor in Hong Kong's tallest building. And I walked over to him. We didn't know each other before. We'd never spoke with each other. And as it was practice, the first thing you do, you walk in, shake hands, and you hand over your name card. So I did that, he did that, even though we both were actually Western people, still are. And he looked at my name card and he said, "Oh, Charlie, you are from my previous company, Progress.You." I said, "Yes." I don't know, but last time someone was coached by someone from Progress.You in our bank, that person got fired afterwards. Will that happen to me too? I was slightly surprised by this first interaction with my potential new client. But of course, I knew the story, and it had actually not much to do with the coaching. There was just no more opportunity that would have been suitable for that person to stay, and management and the person agreed that he would get fired so that he gets the benefits. But I don't know if he knew that or not. It didn't really matter to me in that moment. The only thing I said to him, yes, of course, it could happen to you too. You know that management experience expects something from you, certain changes, and if these changes don't happen, there's a chance that they may fire you afterwards. And I guess on one hand, he was a bit surprised that I was so straight and honest with him back. On the other hand, I could feel that in that moment, I got his respect. So what happened actually? The CEO of that bank approached me and said, I have this COO, Kevin. He's a great guy. He achieved significant cost savings over the last few months. Ever since he joined the bank, he's now here for almost a year. And I'm quite happy with the results we got. But I hear a lot of complaints from his direct reports. They complain that he's too micromanaging, that he's annoying, and that he has no connection. In fact, it was so bad that his team members got even closer, but due to the mutual hate, they all felt for their boss. And the CEO felt this is not sustainable. This needs to change. He needs to build better relationships with his team. And he needs to stop micromanaging these quite senior and experienced people. I said, okay, it's something we can address with coaching, so let's give it a shot. Luckily, this coachee selected me, Kevin, and we started the coaching. There were a few more things that actually happened in this coaching. Number one, and this brings me back to the concept of mental mastery. We did the assessment and we noticed that his self-esteem was actually highly self-critical. Even though that didn't quite come across like this to his team members and other people, he appeared very confident. But remember, being overconfident is often a sign of a lack of self-esteem. That's not the same thing. And indeed, his self-acceptance was rather low, but luckily his self-improvement was pretty high. And that's usually a good sign for me that the person is willing to grow and to change. The next thing that we noticed is that his stress management was quite poor. His self-motivation was super high, but his stress management was quite poor. And because of his lack of self-esteem and because he felt always under tension to produce results, to be successful, he really wanted to control things really very much. And he didn't realize by trying to control it through micromanaging he actually demotivates everyone else. He gets people to get quite upset, and a few people I learned were actually about to leave. Nobody left so far, but it started soon to happen. And we took the approach that I developed in helping someone who is highly self-critical to develop their self-acceptance in a much faster way. And luckily, in this case, it worked really fast. He started to realize that the way he thought about himself was not helping him. He was actually overly critical, not just with his team members, but also with himself. He would sometimes ponder for hours, days, weeks sometimes about mistakes he made or something he missed, not realizing that at the time when these things happened, that was the best he could do. Because if he could have done it better, he would have. And that was really a new insight for him. And it took a little bit time, a few weeks, maybe a couple of months, till that totally sunk in. And he could, every time when he started to beat himself up, he could stop it and start to think, well, yes, it was not good. I need to take the consequence. I need to deal with it. But it was the best thing I could do, because if I could have done it better, I would have. That was a big insight for Kevin. The second aspect of mental mastery, is, as you might recall, was a high degree of emotional self-management combined with a high degree of self-motivation. And his self-motivation was already high, but his stress management, which is a good indicator for emotional self-management, was rather poor. And learning that our emotions are not the result of what happens to us, but our emotions are the result of how we think about what happens to us, was a big eye-opener for him. I said to him, look, you can say to me, Charlie, you're an idiot. How do I feel about that? Well, I could feel upset. I could think, how could you say that? This is outrageous. It's totally unacceptable. And I would feel upset. I could also think, you know what? Kevin can say whatever he wants to me. It doesn't really matter. And I feel chill. I feel indifferent. Or I could even say, well, Kevin is a pretty smart guy. If he calls me an idiot, maybe he has a point, and I just need to find out what he actually means by that. And maybe I can learn something. Now, in this case, I feel curious. You see, the event didn't change. It's every time Kevin calling me an idiot. But how I think about it determines how I feel about it. And the good news is that we can choose to think whatever we want at any time. The bad news is we usually don't choose. So Kevin had to learn to be mindful, to become aware of these thoughts and ask himself, are these thoughts actually useful? And if they are not, what else could I think that could also be true, but that leads to a different emotion, for example? So that led both aspects, the first aspect, emotional self-esteem, healthy self-esteem, and the second aspect, emotional self-management, combined with high self-motivation. Once we started to develop both aspects, he started to become much more relaxed. And in fact, he said to me after a few sessions, you know what, in the past, I always worked through my lunchtime. But now I actually can take a break. I spend 1 hour for lunch, go to the gym, take a light lunch, and I feel actually so much better. And I also actually after 5-6 sessions, I talked to every team member one-on-one. Now, it was quite interesting what they said to me. Without exception, all of them said, yes, Kevin definitely changed. He's not so micromanaging anymore. He respects us more. It's actually, he even sometimes makes little jokes. He's more likable now than he was before, but we don't trust it. Almost everyone said that. We don't trust it. I think once you finished your coaching, he will go back to the previous way. I didn't share that opinion. And one reason why I didn't share this opinion is because Kevin actually liked the new way of operating better than the previous way. And that's for me always a great sign. If the coachee enjoys the changed state more than the previous state, why would they go back, right? And that was the case here. And so I also encouraged these team members that, you know what, it takes some time to develop new habits until this is completely embedded. So it could still happen that he slips and maybe he's micromanaging in a certain situation or say something that's not appropriate. Give him a little bit of slack, cut him a little bit of slack if he's not 100% yet. But I'm convinced he's on a good way. I'm convinced it will stick with him, but give him that leeway so that he can actually fully develop into what he wants to become. And I did check in several months later. Luckily, I got the confirmation that it was sustained. He didn't fall back into the old patterns. And that brings us back to what is mental mastery all about. It's about learning to think differently in a way that is most beneficial to what we try to achieve. So if you find this episode useful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Please do leave your comments in the comment section. I'm always curious to hear what you think about these kind of situations.